Hi Stampin' friends. Tonight we'll use the A Touch of Ink stamp set. It is the Sale-A-Bration stamp set. It comes with two pieces of, it's a photopolymer. It comes with two different batches of stamps. So I wanted to show it has some good sentiments. It has hello friend, thinking of you, and thank you so much. The butterfly and the flower and the hummingbird, of course. And I'm going to also use it with Heal Your Heart, which is a sympathy sentiment set. And it is the $50 prize with Sale-A-Bration this time. So now Sale-A-Bration ends early this time. It does not go into March. It ends at the end of February 28th. There will be another Sale-A-Bration in July and August, but it'll be all different things. So if you love some of these things, now's the time. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do some of this, and I hope that you can imagine doing some of these things with your own projects at some point. So just going to get started here. First, I wanted to just show, much like the way I cut this out when we tucked the little pieces of flowers under the main sentiment in the middle, I thought it could be kind of nice to have the paper here on the side and then have our hummingbird kind of come here. So I wanted to show basically all I'm going to do here. You see this back side could be useful. That's why I chose the Flirty Flamingo color, because that's kind of the color that's the lighter color here on the back side. So I'll just put that right here. I'm just lining it up. What I did was I cut the whole piece to the size of a card front, and then I just kind of cut along the edge there. Super simple. And then I just cut this out with my scissors because this does not have a die. But since so many things are cut out now, it doesn't really bother me to go ahead and cut out every once in a while anymore. So I just kind of imagined this little guy kind of being right here. And then I'm going to get out some colors, work on that a bit. I wanted to use some Granny Apple Green. And I wanted to use kind of a strange one. I wanted to use some Pretty Peacock and maybe some Just Jade. And where I'm getting these is from the colors that are in this paper. So there's a lot of different ways that you could color this. Honestly, what I usually do is color exactly the way a bird looks that I've seen in my yard. And sometimes I can be a little bit carried away with that. So it's kind of something that you probably should not do. You should be more willing to use a variety of colors. So what I looked on the internet today, and I saw some that are in like Costa Rica and like the Amazon rainforest, some places like that. And the colors that they had on them were pretty much completely different than what we see here. We mostly in Oklahoma see the ruby-throated hummingbirds, and I don't know that I've ever seen much of anything else unless it's been at the zoo. So what I noticed there is they had a lot of greens and blues in their little hummingbirds. So I wanted to kind of do a little bit of that. So it's perfect with this paper because it has the Granny Apple Green and the Pretty Peacock kind of there in the color scheme. And I will want to leave a little bit of white, mainly just because the edges are going to be white on this. I could have stamped on a color if I had thought about it, I guess, but I kind of just wanted it to be, oops, don't want to use that in. Wanted it to be mostly blues and greens. So what I'm doing here is going in with some Just Jade. Just kind of getting them together. And that just kind of makes a darker color there. And I'll probably go back and put a little bit more of the Granny Apple Green when I'm finished. You could go over this with some gray if it looks like it's needs some muting to you, like if you don't particularly care for this color, you can put some gray in, and that will make it look a little more real if that's kind of what you're going for. We'll give it texture, but also make it just look a little more real. Okay, I'm just going to put a little more down here. Then I think I would probably just go in with kind of a lighter, maybe right here, maybe some seafoam in there, because they didn't really have a white chest on their little bird. So, okay, there we go. I kind of like that. Okay, so then you can see I would just put this right here, just kind of like that. And then, oh, I guess I got a little bit of tape runner right there. See some shininess. So I'm going to use dimensionals. Put one on its head, one on its wing, one on its tail. Try to decide if I don't think I need one for its tummy. I think it'll be fine. Okay, so just kind of imagine where I would put this. There we go. And then now I think what would be nice is to I should probably have used, for my background, I should probably have used some Pretty Peacock. So I think I'll plan on doing that. And then I'm going to try and just find something to stamp the thanks so much on thank you so much. Okay. And then put this in this little punch, this double oval punch, and then I'll be able to use that for my sentiment. I think that'll be cute down at the bottom. One other thing I wanted to show you, see, I made a mistake on some cards I was doing, and whenever you do that, always remember to keep it handy so that you can sort of use it up, because then that way you don't have pieces sitting around with things on them that you think are a mistake, and you can use it for something else. Don't want to waste it. Try it one more time on that. Okay, I like that. So what I'm going to need to do is kind of cut this into strips. This is a great time to use your strips of things that are like leftovers from cutting. It's perfect to slide these in if you're just wanting to cut one of the ovals. If you have a little strip like this, you can just kind of slide it in. So on these, what I find it hard to line up the so much because it's very curly and whatever. So I try to focus on the thank you part and get that lined up maybe the way I want it. And then that usually keeps things okay as far as straightness for the so much. So there you can see how I would do that. And like I said, I'm probably going to put this on a layer of the Pretty Peacock. But this gives you an idea of what I was going for here. Just kind of, this is more of a whimsical kind of look. Not exactly realistic, but just kind of fun. So I thought that was kind of nice, and it was fairly quick and came together fairly quickly for me. So there's one choice. Full of things. This is our petal pink, and I just stamped this on. This is the largest one of these stitched rectangles, or not the largest, the second largest. And I like it better than the bigger one. The bigger one just almost hangs off the edge of one side and is way too narrow on the other. But this one, you can kind of get a little bit of edge here. So what I was thinking with it would look really pretty to have the sorry for your loss on here like this, or to put some other, like a happy birthday across the bottom. And so my point with this is this makes a nice layer for the card, and it looks simple so that it's not too much for a sympathy card, because sometimes I am reluctant to do too much on a sympathy card. Okay, so now what I wanted to show you was kind of what's going to be the sketch for the evening. You can probably see kind of around my desk where I have little bits of cards that are folded. So all of the rest of the cards that I show you are going to be an 8.5 by 5.5, 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock folded, so that then I scored it at 5.5 and 2, or 4.5 and 4.25 and 2 1/8. There we go. And you can make a sideways easel with this. What I had remembered, what I said earlier, was that I had made easel cards with this last time. But usually our easel cards go the other direction. They go long ways. But this makes a great easel card too. So I wanted to show you that you could certainly use that this way. Color your card and put it here. I don't recommend an easel card necessarily for a sympathy card because people are not going to want to set that out. But certainly for birthdays and thank yous and whatever, I think people would really enjoy having this to sit on their counter or their table or wherever they might see it a lot. And they could enjoy it until, you know, the sun fades it or whatever. So that could be kind of fun. Then the other thing I wanted to show you about this, if it was a sympathy card, was when you have it folded this way, you can just fold it. When you have it scored this way, you can just fold it back. And what this is called is a faux gatefold, the faux, F-A-U-X. So what it does is, instead of being a gatefold that folds in like this and closes, this looks like a gatefold. You can put a piece of pattern paper here and the same size piece of pattern paper here, and you can have it in a look of a gatefold. So the way that I think this would look nice is you would put the wishing I could heal your heart inside, and then you could have this flower here, and then layer it like this, then use this other one, let me show you this one, stitched rectangle, and use that along the bottom. And I have dropped my sentiments, so let me grab it real quick. The way I did this was I just cut it to 3/4 of an inch. That's about perfect to be layered on this particular die cut. And you can see that what I can do with this is then coordinate the colors and the coloring. And to me, this is a different fold, but it's not so exciting that it would be too much for a sympathy card. But if you think so, of course, just go ahead and use it regularly. Just leave it like this and, you know, take these, I'll make these a different color, make them the pink, and layer it on the front like this. But I think that this is fine with this, just my opinion. So what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and do just a little bit of quick coloring on this flower and see if we like that. So because my card is Mellow Moss, I'm going to look for my light and dark Mellow Moss blends. And then for my coloring, I'm going to use the probably a light Calypso Coral, because I'll want to have a little bit of color in it that's different. And then I'm going to get the light and dark Petal Pink, and then maybe a yellow to do these little pistils and stamen inside here and in the little flowers there. So just kind of put some yellow in there to begin with. And I don't worry about staying in the lines on this because I kind of want it to have the appearance of, you know, when the little bits of pollen kind of get all over the flower. That's kind of what I'm allowing to happen there. So then I'm just using my light Mossy Meadow on my leaves. All right, I think that's enough. I don't think I need the dark color because I don't think you'd be able to distinguish it from the black. So I'm liking this. Then I'm just going to color. I'm going to just go ahead and color over the whole thing with the, well, no, I meant to use the light with the light Petal Pink. And the light Petal Pink is a very light color. see that. Then I'm going to go and add a little bit of the dark, or it's the darker color we're using, but the light Calypso Coral, and just kind of do a little bit of tracing of where I see, you know, along certain edges here and there. Just kind of put just a little bit there. And I don't consider myself a fabulous colorist. Like most Stampin' Up! Demonstrators kind of consider themselves to be a fabulous colorist, and sometimes I agree and sometimes I don't. But I don't consider that at all. I just think it's fun to just kind of play with it and get it to where you think it looks good, whether anyone else does or not. Well, that's fine too. So then I'm just going kind of right next to it with a little bit of this darker petal pink right next to my Calypso Coral, and just add it just to kind of blend it in without even really trying, just to give a little more color there. So that you can see that. So then, to me, that is pretty much done. We don't need to get too carried away. So then I'm just going to layer it. Oh, let me tell you, this is another one of the stitched rectangles. And this layer is 3 3/4 by 2 3/8, because I had a little time of it trying to get it exactly like I wanted. So one thing I also am weird about, I don't generally add a lot of embellishments to a sympathy card. Like, to me, ribbon seems, maybe white ribbon wouldn't seem that way, but you know, like we have this beautiful petal pink ribbon, and I mean, think how pretty that would be if my card were a birthday card. I mean, sure, that would be gorgeous. But for me, with a sympathy card, I like to show a lot of restraint. I don't like to put too much on it as far as looking decorated. Because, you know, to me, it's just being more mindful of the occasion. But then on this one, I wanted to show you, we have these new matte black dots. And I really think that they are not at all too much. And they add just the right amount of, what the word would be, they add a nice detail without calling attention to themselves. So you can see if you agree, and if you don't, I will not be offended at all. But I just wanted to show you that here in a second. Okay, so I have that in there. And then I'm ready to just mount this on here and on here. And I am not going to, I want to be sure and get it on the right side, but I'm not going to use dimensionals because I don't want it to be too bumpy or flashy. So what I'm doing here is just putting just 2 lines down the side. I don't want to get it over half. So just think about when you see half, you don't want to go past that. So then here, I'm just kind of lining this up, trying to get about the same on each side. And you never know, I may pull it off later. I may decide, you know, when I'm actually doing this, a lot of times I get a little too carried away and end up having to fix something whenever I'm finished. So, okay, so now I'm going to put I'm going to be sure and like hold this with my thumb and not go anywhere past this, if that makes sense. But I do want to put 2 lines down it because I want it to be secure. And one thing about this Stampin' Seal also, you can either roll it over the top like I just did, kind of how I rolled my hand, or you can pull it and then twist it to the side to cut it off, because it can be a little bit frustrating as you get started learning to use it, to get it to stop when you want it to stop and then roll the next time when you want it to roll. So, okay, so there I have that. So you can see how that opens up. And then these are the black dots that I was talking about that I thought looked very tasteful without being plain. For this application, I think using the smaller ones is probably best. So I'm just going to take a couple off here. And then I always kind of try to look at the card and decide where I want the emphasis to be, whether I want it to be here or here. So that could be totally up to you. Probably doesn't matter, but I'm going to turn it around and be sure what I think before I set it down. I think I want it back on this side. And if you did feel like a little bit of ribbon would look good, that we do have the mellow moss, so you can make just a little, maybe a little tie and put it right there, and that might not be too much to you. What I liked about this was the black just kind of brings in the black from this stamping that we did. And I feel like if you use black along here, that might be more legible, more easy to read. So that might be pretty. I was just thinking of the softness of it, but the black might be easier to read. So there is that card. And then next, I'm just going to work with several different, well, because there are other things in it besides just our little flower and our little hummingbird. We have butterflies and we have the leaves. So this butterfly that I did, I was thinking you could color it and then maybe put a sentiment here and just have it be like happy birthday or whatever you might want to say, you know, something here. These are cute colored with your blends, of course, but they are also great if you just use, for example, our new brushes that we have, that, you know, brush applicators, or the little sponge daubers. You can just sponge that on and add the color that you need. So I'm going to go ahead and get my Daffodil Delight. Just kind of add some color right here. And then maybe some terracotta tile. Maybe it's hard for me not to use my pumpkin pie. I'm probably going to have to use pumpkin pie. So I just think about the terracotta tile looking a little bit, oh, what would the word be? A little bit drab. So you can't ever say that about pumpkin pie. So what I'm doing here is just turning it on the side just a little bit and adding my color that way. So you can see how quick this is. I mean, you could use your blends, of course, and I'm going to do that here in a minute, but to me, I don't mind if it gets a little out of the lines, and I like the way it looks when you just kind of add color at will. Kind of, I guess it looks a little more natural. That's kind of my point. One thing I do try to do when I have gone out the lines, I try to just be sure that I go uniformly outside the lines. I want to, oopsie, I want to create kind of a look of like a little fuzzy kind of a look. And as you're doing this, if you wanted to, you could do all around the edge with maybe some soft, oh no, it's soft sky, pool party, just to make it look like a sky behind your little butterfly. So there's a lot of different choices that you can make. You can jazz it up a lot of different ways. So I think this would be really cute as a thank you card, or as a you know, get well soon, or like some kind of positivity themed card. I think that it really would add a lot of happiness to someone's day with this. So there is one way that you could do it. And I wanted to show you this also. This would be cute put on here, put on a easel card like this. So now I'm fixing to try that one. I wanted to show you, you know, the original one where I stamped here. This one is big enough to hold the entire stamp. And so you can see it, you know, it looks nicely spaced, and you could layer it just on the top of the card like I had shown you. But then you could also plan something a little bit different and use your pieces to create layers where you don't necessarily have all of the entire thing doesn't necessarily show. Now, since I'm going to do this, I don't want to mess up my paper and make it look like I'm a messy person. So I'm just going to put down this piece of the grid paper, and this works great for that when I don't want to get my entire area messy, or using a little piece of this. This is the one that's for the Stamparatus. It is also great to just bring it in when you're going to be doing some, applying some adhesive that you think might go off the edge. This is the perfect use for that, because then you can just take this away and your surface is still nice and smooth and pretty. So that's something to tell people, you know, it's very easy to do this, and I like to do that. So sometimes when I remember to do it, I really enjoy it. Okay, so what I wanted to show you here I'm just going to ink this up with my Memento Tuxedo Black. And then as you do this, you want to make sure that all of the places look shiny with ink. You don't want them to look like they're fuzzy. I've had a little trouble as I've been practicing here getting it dark enough in the center of this flower. So I'm paying special attention to that spot. So if your stamp has any spots like that, you just kind of want to do the same. What some people end up doing, they'll put a piece of fun foam or something under their stamp so that it stamps better if that gives them too much of a problem. But this worked for me the last time. Okay, and here's what's crazy. I do definitely want to make sure that all of my hummingbird is in the frame. I don't want it to not be. But do I really need this stem? Maybe I can make it without it. So I'm just centering kind of the hummingbird in the corner and then stamping where you can see all of the hummingbird and some of the flower. Let's see if this makes sense. Like that. Now what else you could do in this look is to stamp, and I've seen this done, stamp a couple of times the flower on the edge here to just kind of make it look like an edge that that is like he's going up into flowers. So if this were the case, then I wanted to show simply how I would color him and make the horizontal easel card that I was talking about. So I'm going to get my light green. This is our soft seafoam, of course. And this is the dark version because I just almost can't see the light one, if I'm honest. So I'm coloring him green. Okay, then I want to add something to make him look ruby-throated. So I'm leaving the white, and then I'm just coloring his little chest, kind of calypso coral. Then I'm going to quickly grab my lightest smoky slate because I just want to add a little bit of gray so that he looks somewhat real. So just kind of here and there among the light green. Not everywhere that's green, just a little bit here and there. You can just kind of use it as a shadow in other places. Maybe under his wing just a little. All right. Then I'm going to go back in with my green again with my dark soft seafoam and finish that color out. And I'm blending those two colors together some. And then if you're like me and this doesn't look quite green enough to you, I am going to go back in with some Just Jade and just give it a little bit more color. So probably what I'll need to do after I use my light Just Jade is I'll probably need to go back in with my soft seafoam. I don't know, maybe not, but I'm imagining I might need to go back in and kind of lighten it back out with my soft seafoam when I'm finished. Let's kind of do that. His little head. So I don't think that when they have a lot of line art like this, I don't think you can really tell what's being colored too much. I think it kind of, you can color this way is my point. You can't even tell that that's what you did. Whereas on the smooth, you know, the images where it's really a lot of open space, you probably wouldn't want to do that. But okay. So there you can see that. And now I just want to add a little bit of color to these flowers. So I'm going to, there we are, use the dark petal pink and add the color here. The reason I still have my little pad here, oh, hi Pam, it's great to see you, is because I'm coloring on the edge, and the same as when I use adhesive and I don't want to get it on things, I also don't want to necessarily get my area messed up with this marker. So like when I can go right up to the edge here, and I'll make a little mark on here, and then I can just take that away when I'm finished. Okay. So there you can see that, and I think at this point I'm just going to layer it on here. All right, and this might be a time to put a little bit of our ribbon here. We can make a bow or something and put it right here in the corner. I think that would be pretty, or over here. And then, so you can kind of, let me go ahead and do that so you can imagine it. It's a little hard to just kind of think how that's going to look. Okay, so you can see I might want to put just a little bit of ribbon here, or maybe up here. And then here is my card base that I used. So I was thinking I could put it here. It would probably look really nice to have a layer of my petal pink here. Now this is not a layer, this is a big old card. I don't mean that I'm going to use this, but that would look pretty to kind of break it up, or possibly the cameo coral would look nice. I could have layered this on coral. That might have been smarter. Let's do that. All right, put that right there. Just kind of scooch it in. And then I think I'm just going to put some, I don't want to stick it up at the top again. You don't want to have it sticking something else. Okay, so now what I'm doing is just centering this in here and sticking it down to the card. I'm making sure that it doesn't go past the fold, and I want to make sure that it looks straight to me. So there we go. Then you can see, okay, so then this is here. So then I'm just going to work on how I'm going to use this little guy, which I could use a coral for that too. Let me see if I have one. I think I cut one at one point. I go over there and I have all these, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Oh yes, I do have a coral. Is that the coral, or is that the, that's the coral. Okay. And I can use that as my little holder like for my sentiment. So just going to put dimensionals under it, because if I didn't use dimensionals on this part, it would not hold the easel. It'll make sense in a second. Okay, then I don't want to go too far back, but I want to go back a little way so that it will hold the card here. So then I just need to make sure that, oh, I can move this now. I'm done with that. Make sure that I have it in the center. So the way I like to do that, you know, you've seen me do this 1,000 times, but to line it up along the 8 and go the same distance back from each side. So there I've got just back from 5 and just back from 11. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my little layer here and get it lined up at basically at 7 and 9 so that it will be in the right place. So then you can see how nicely that holds. Makes a cute little thing for the center. Well, if you tilt it back, it won't hold it. But if it were just sitting up on a table, then it holds just fine. And so now I'm just going to look for, I'm just going to try to get my layer done here. Let's see, I have some that are the right size for that, but I don't know what I did with them. That isn't it either. Nice. Okay, well, I may have to trim it myself. So what I want to do is just get my sentiment stamped on here, which is, let me see, what is it? Maybe this is it. Oh, I know. I wanted this one to be, I hope you feel better soon. So I can't read it very well. So when I stamp it in this cameo coral, I will definitely be able to see it then. So let's see here. Oh no, that's yellow. We don't want that. We don't want yellow. Put that dude away. Okay, here it is. No, that's Flirty Flamingo. Wow, I am living on the edge. Who knows what I've done with all my stuff. Oh, see, and I always forget that it is a subtle. So crazy that that's a subtle, because it's not subtle at all to me. Okay, so I'm going to stamp that. Let's see. And here's what it says. Hope you feel better really soon. So yeah, I thought that's a good one, especially if you know someone who has gotten COVID. I'm not sorry to be morbid, but they get sick and they're sick for, 2 weeks. I have a little cousin. I say she's little. She's 44, but she was my little cousin when I was little too. And she has had it for a couple of weeks now, and I have not gotten a card to her, so I need to get on that. So maybe this will be hers. Okay, so at this point, I'm just going to trim this off about the same distance from each side, and then imagine putting this in the center. So I just want to cut off both sides. Sometimes I do this where I go run the white through the big shot and then just cut these edges off. You've seen me do that, and it's a lot faster that way, honestly. But this works too. So I just want to kind of show a different idea of this. So I guess to help you, this little guy, the little, this is from the So Sentimental, the ones that go with it. So these, yeah, I've forgotten, but they're scalloped edge, which I wouldn't ever use a scalloped edge like, before when I was talking about the other card. I would use them for happy cards. Scalloped edges to me are very happy. And there's that, and this one is about, okay, about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to cut a little off the top, and then it won't matter quite so much that I didn't quite stamp it in exactly the right place, because I'm just going to kind of trim that off. So that'll make me look like I've got it together a little better. There's that. And I'm going to just kind of imagine it on here. And I don't mind that, but I do need to get it straight. Okay. Just a little scooch. I do like using this paper trimmer that we had a while back. I wish Stampin' Up! Would have several of them available to us. Have these where we could get them more easily, because that was kind of a short little venture that they had these. Okay, so there you can see that. I'm just going to trim just a little more from this side, and then maybe just a little more from the top. I'm going to press down so I can cut that off easily. Hope I like that. Okay. Close enough. So, and imagine putting it like right there. And you can see how simple that card was to make, but to me it looks kind of interesting whenever you go to give it to someone. It looks like you've spent a lot of time. So this card is uses this, what I was talking about here, with the scoring at 5.5, and then again scoring again 5.5 this way, then scoring again here, so that you can get the easel or the faux gatefold. So that's just showing you that scoring will get you either one of these looks. And then this is the one I did first, just doing a little quick cutout of the edging of this designer series paper, and then kind of a different color of a hummingbird, kind of a tropical hummingbird. So we don't have any like that around here. But so that's just 3 different ways that you can do it. And I'm sure that whenever I go to post these on my blog, they will look a whole lot better, because I'll have some time to go, oh, I like this. Oh, I like that. So be sure and check out my blog next week when I get that all posted, and you can see what I end up finishing the cards with. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.